Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we will be talking about the cult classic fantasy horror film Phantasm, which was written and directed by Don Coscarelli and released March 28th, 1979.
Yeah, we're going back. We're going back in time this week. Honestly, it's because I read that Reggie Bannister, that played Reggie in this film, has gone into hospice care. And it just made me want to go back and watch this movie again. Mm-hmm. So I decided, I think it would be great if we covered it.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm happy with that decision, I guess we'll see, depending on what you have to say, because I'm sure in true Peg fashion, you're going to be full of your usual humor.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you one way or the other right now how I felt about the movie necessarily, but I did give you a warning earlier today, even before recording, where I was like, Daphne, I hope you're bringing some actual, good thoughts and, conversation about this movie, because it's another, situation where my notes are, oops, all jokes, so, that's what I'm here for today.
Yes.
Maybe you'll balance it out. We'll see.
I hope so. There were some moments that I did get kind of silly with my notes, but we'll have to wait till we get there. So we're going to start this off the way that we always do, with some production notes. It was filmed in California, including Huntington Beach, San Fernando Valley, Julian, and Oakland. The Dunsmuir House and Gardens served as the setting for Morningside Cemetery. All of the scenes there were filmed in one night. They only had it one night. They had to do everything. Spawned 4 sequels: Phantasm 2, Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead, Phantasm 4, Oblivion, and Ravager. And Don Coscarelli wrote and directed all of them, except for Ravager. Coscarelli was inspired by one of his teenage nightmares, where he was chased down a long hallway by a flying chrome sphere that he thought would drill his brain out. Can't imagine that dream. Oh, I don't think that would be fun. Coscarelli did the filming and editing, as he could not really afford to hire anyone for those roles. Budget for this movie was $300,000. It was funded by Coscarelli's father and some doctors and lawyers. It was a family affair because his mom contributed by doing the costumes, makeup, and some of the special effects. It grossed nearly $12 million worldwide, which at the time is pretty good. It's 89 minutes long. However, the original movie he cut in half, basically, because the running time for his first draft, or his first cut, was 3 hours.
I'm glad we cut that way down. Of course, that kind of makes sense, because there's some, especially, we'll get to it when we talk about the ending, where it's also this thing and this thing that makes no sense, and we're done, okay, bye. It's wait, what happened? Where did this come from? There's a few things where I was like, what? Did I miss something? So, yeah, apparently I missed another hour and a half somewhere that got cut. That maybe explained some of these things.
Well, they also filmed multiple endings. Mm-hmm. So.
And then they did all of them at the same time, it looked like.
He wasn't sure how he wanted to end it. So.
I can see that.
So there were multiple endings that were shot, and yeah, the ending we'll talk about. I have some thoughts on it for sure. So Pake, can you give us a synopsis on this film?
Yeah, I didn't like any of the ones IMDb had, so I kind of took one and then cut it up. A teenager and his brother face off against a mysterious gravedigger and other dark forces. It's pretty much kind of what it is.
Yeah, I would say. Very interesting. Mike, as a teenager, the things that he was allowed to do in this movie, I was kind of just like, okay. I forgot because I don't watch this movie all the time. I watch it, once probably every couple years. So sometimes I get things that happen in Phantasm 2 mixed up with Phantasm 1.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching this, it was like, oh, I forgot. Oh, that doesn't happen until the next one. Oh, okay. So I got a little confused because, like I said, I don't watch this every month or every week or every year. So, but I really wanted to cover it because the tall man terrified the hell out of me the first time that I saw this movie by doing nothing other than walking and yelling, boy. I mean, really.
Right?
He was just very, very creepy. And I really love the score that goes with this movie. It's so...
I have some thoughts. We'll talk about those.
So, I feel like it's very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you think, but I guess we'll find out.
You'll find out. You
Great.
Definitely will.
Great. Wonderful. I don't know how I feel right now, and this could go really badly. I had the best of intentions wanting to cover this. In some of the research I did, one of the things I uncovered is Coscarelli really likes to come up with these opportunities to work on movies with actors that he's worked with in the past, much like some of our other favorite directors. Mm-hmm. He was good friends with Reggie Bannister, and so he wrote that role with Reggie in mind and named him Reggie. I mean,
yeah.
So he wanted to do specific things. Originally, they were going to do Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is a really good book and was made into a movie. But by the time he decided he wanted to do it, the book's rights had already been sold, so he couldn't. I thought you might find it interesting that the name Phantasm actually came from Edgar Allan Poe. Like, some of the works he mentions Phantasm in it.
Yeah.
And so that's where he got the name for the movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because it's... After watching the movie, it's not really a name that fits. Like, as far as you're like, I don't see the connection, but it's catchy and it just sticks. People recognize it.
Yeah, they definitely do. Originally, too, it was rated X because of the sphere sequence. Because the caretaker urinates on the floor.
Yeah. So
they had to fight. Coscarelli had to call in a few favors to get that straightened out. So, yeah. I think we should get started.
All right, I guess. We have to.
Oh, boy. This is what I'm in for.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up for this.
It's one of those modes today. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, we're going to get started. Am I driving this?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. Usually you...
I mean, I can try, but like I said, most all of my notes are jokes. So...
Great.
We can do those and then you'll fill in wherever.
No. Okay. So, as far as main characters, I feel like Mike was the main character, although his brother Jody was also, like, key in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we start with Mike, that's probably the right place to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's just out doing what all kids at that time did because there were no electronics to play with. You didn't have a cell phone to play games on. So what do?
So you follow your brother around and watch him through binoculars.
Yes.
Yeah, what every kid did.
Yeah. And when you're not doing that, you ride through the cemetery on your motorbike. It's what you did. But honestly, Jody was very lucky that Mike was doing that. because he saved
later,
his ass.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, but like off the beginning, because it's like, why is this kid being so creepy with these binoculars? It's like, I'm glad you didn't invite your brother to the funeral. And it's like, he's going to show up anyway and watch it through. I need to see the body. I don't know. It's very weird. But then, yeah, you're like, okay, no, it's just more about abandonment issues with his brother.
Yeah, he's worried that his brother's going to go off and leave him because his parents died like 2 years prior. Mm-hmm. And so all he has is his brother.
Yeah. And then we hear Jody's talking about thinking of now that Mike is 13, send him away to their aunts and then just taking off on his own. And clearly Mike has, like I said, some major abandonment issues where he's literally just running around, like stalking him and following him and like chasing him down. Like it's like a puppy. Just can't be away from him. Which makes sense. But yeah, but again, so off that beginning, it's a good thing he was there creeping with the binoculars because, yeah, then he can come back with that information of seeing the tall man.
Even if no one wants to believe him.
Right. This giant tall man who can still somehow manage to sneak up on people with such ease.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Reloading Tommy's casket back into the hearse. All on his own. Yeah. So the score, as you mentioned, very early on, has had a vibe to it that made me keep thinking throughout the whole movie that they were going to break out into song at any moment. I don't know why, but it's just very like, it had musical vibes.
I didn't get that at all.
I did because I made up a lot of songs and was singing them throughout the movie out loud while watching it. Just narrating what was happening to the score. And I made my own musical. It was quite fun. I mean, the score goes hard. I'll give it that. It was great. Great score. But definitely had musical vibes to where, like I said, I performed a whole number. While Mike was, knifing up and heading into the cemetery, I called it It's Time to Hunt a Jawa.
I wondered if you were going to catch on to the minions being just like the Jawas.
That score kicked up. I wish I could have it playing, because it was like, it's time to hunt a Jawa for dropping the car on top of me. My brother doesn't believe it, but I will kill one and then he'll see. Like, I was very, ready to go. And then I kept doing that throughout most of the rest of the movie. Was that score would kick up and I'd just start singing whatever was happening. It just felt that was the vibe that it wanted me to be in. And so I'll start accepting audio auditions and video auditions now for Phantasm the musical. I'll start working on the script and the song soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm supposed to react to that. You're basically telling me that a score that terrified me and scared me is a musical number.
Just made me want to break out into song, yeah.
Okay.
Think about it in that route. You go back and watch it. Listen to those when that score really picks up, and then just imagine Mike or Jody, whatever, just what they're doing, stopping, going, look over there, look over here. And like, if they just started singing what was going on, it would fit perfectly.
No, I don't agree, but okay.
Think about it next time you watch it. I'm right.
It'll probably be another 2 or 3 years before I watch it again, and by then I probably won't remember. Although I might never forget the song that you just sang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Michael, scared about his brother leaving these abandonment issues. Again, one of those things is like, maybe this is explained a lot more because of the extra hour and a half we didn't get. But then it's like, he knows this girl whose grandma is a psychic, and then she speaks through her grandmother and can get answers to questions, and ends up being the answer to the whole movie is not having fear, and you're gonna... But also she said if your brother does leave, he's taking you with him, and then that definitely didn't happen, so maybe the grandma's just full of shit. Who knows? But yeah, this moment, because like the girl speaks for the grandmother, it's like, Michael, grandmother wants to play a little game. Have you ever heard of Parcheesi? No. Instead, it was, put your hand in the box. The test is simple. Remove your hand from the box and you die. What's in the box? Pain. Oh, sorry, no, that's the wrong movie. Sorry. Different movie. But no, I did have that thought. I was like, Mike must be really worried about his brother leaving if he's going to the Bene Gesserit for help.
You are.
And then afterwards he sets the money on the box and then it goes away. And I was just like, oh, sorry, that money disapparated. You're going to need to pay again.
It's low budget, Pake. It is low budget. It's okay. You need to embrace it.
And grandmother really got a kick out of that. Her games are weird. But hey, Bridge Club was canceled, so she's got to let loose somehow.
I don't know whether to roll my eyes or laugh.
And then we go from that to Dune's Cantina. After the black box scene, I was like, this is on purpose, right? It has to be at this point.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, yes.
You can't have a mysterious old lady with a black box and then follow it up with a place called Dunes and not maybe like, they know, right? Like, they know.
Yeah. Of course, Jody tells Mike not to follow him, and what does he do?
Don't follow you, but that's the one thing I know how to do.
Come on.
What do you mean don't follow you? That's all I do. Because I was like, kid, have you tried comic books? Listening to records? Fucking Lego? I don't know. You just need to have a better hobby than stalking your brother. That's probably...
Well, he's been through a lot. I mean, 13 years old. It's hard to, losing both of his parents, and what he's got left is his brother, and he's afraid he's going to leave him. Like...
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to let him out of his sight, I guess. I don't know. I mean...
Yeah, true.
I think... I mean...
No matter what, from the bar to the cemetery.
What, the boobs?
Let's go with boobs and butts and monsters. Oh my! or should I say, wow.
I mean, that was probably the first boobs he's ever seen.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, he's
not
13.
doing anything else other than following his brother around, so probably.
He got distracted, though, by the little hooded thing. The minion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, but it's the same girl from the opening with Tommy, so he did save his brother and him freaking out and running.
Yeah, he ran through screaming, and Jody was just like, oh, I gotta go, it's my brother. Mm-hmm. And he had the girl's panties in his mouth, and he was running with them in his mouth for a little bit, and I was just like, might want to take those out. I mean, I don't know.
It's a choking hazard.
Yeah. I don't know.
If he trips and falls or something. Who knows? Now Mike doesn't have problems leaving on his own, leaving his brother behind.
No. Definitely not. I did think it was interesting that Mike was driving the car.
Yeah. Again, not explained. It's like that one time. You're like, oh, okay. Just, sure.
And then he's also the one that's fixing the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the one that's doing the car things.
Yeah. There's those like, so is it Mike's car? I don't...
I feel like it's Mike's car.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that it's... I mean, Jody drives it once or twice, but Mike is usually the one that's having anything to do with the car.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, but these little...
Minions.
Jawas.
I call them minions. They call them something else in the movie, and I didn't want to call them that. So, I just call them minions.
Yeah, but... Yeah, Mike's getting these feelings like something's going on, and he winds back up over at the mausoleum and the funeral home. And I was like, man, that's quite the security system. This mausoleum has a flying fushigi with a murder setting. That's good.
It is the Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Sphere. I mean, it scared me to death as a kid. I mean, it's just... You didn't want it to get you. And they did more with it in the later movies that made it even more, intense. It did a lot more.
I do want to watch the other ones. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever cover them. I was thinking maybe we would do 2, but now I'm not so sure.
I think it would be fun.
You're having fun.
I'm having so much fun.
They made some choices into that I was irritated with, and I found out what they were doing. Like, when I was doing research for this movie, I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I figured out, or I found out, or I discovered why, or what they were thinking when they made the decisions. I'm like, no, you should never have done that. And yet they did. It took them 9 years to make the first sequel. Like, they didn't do it right away. It took a while.
I'm interested to see what it is like. Yeah, but the murder Shigi takes out the other guy and then leaves. And then Tall Man shows up, and I like Mike's response where he just turns and goes, like he's trying to come up with an explanation. Like, oh shit, this isn't the bathroom. I took a wrong turn somewhere. Sorry. I think that guy bled and I think pissed all over the place.
He did.
And then all the blood vanished. So, I don't know. Maybe you should look into that. Okay, bye now.
But they walked towards each other, and then Mike got closer to him and then took off.
Mm-hmm.
In another door. Like, it was kind of funky. I'm like, are you really going to stand up to him?
Yeah. No. Yeah, he does get away, slams the door on his hand, and then chops it off. And I was like, oh, Mr. Mustard. I knew it. His blood is mustard, and he hates kids with dirt bikes. He's a classic villain. Mike's like, I must collect one of his fingers to gain his powers. And more Jawas, and they're pervy sneakerheads, but StockX hasn't been invented yet, so they just steal them off of children's feet. It's diabolical.
You learn a little bit later on what they're actually doing to create those little minions.
Mm-hmm.
The whole shrinking down thing, I've never really understood how or why they were doing that.
Yeah,
they try to explain it, but I don't...
Something about gravity pull to another planet, but he was also, would have fallen in there if he wasn't pulled back, and he seemed fine, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. But he takes the finger back and then shows Jody, who now believes him. And then when he goes to, they're going to take it to the police to show it, and then instead it's transformed. And then Reggie shows up and then sees what's going on and says, oh, don't worry, it's just an evil mechanical fly. It used to be a finger that squirted mustard, but it's now this. So it's all okay. We got it under control. We'll figure it out.
I thought you probably got a really good laugh out of Mike bringing it down the stairs wrapped in a shirt.
It was great.
I knew. When that happened, I'm like, I know Pake is laughing his ass off right now. Between Mike and Jody trying to corral that thing to get it to the garbage disposal.
Great prop gag. Great prop work. You know, he's got that down. Let it leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Jody's going to leave him. Again, now Jody sees what's kind of going on or gets an idea. He's like, well, I need to go investigate and I need to go take care of it. And again, don't follow me. And he's like, but that's the one thing I like doing. So he drops him off instead somewhere else for somebody else to take care of him. And then he ends up just giving a lot of orders to these people who were supposed to be babysitting him.
Yes. Honestly, he was the adult in the movie. And they should have listened to him the whole time. Mm-hmm. Because he was the one that knew shit that was actually happening.
Yeah. But they take me home now. And then stop the car now. And do this now. And then I didn't end up so well. Winds up pulled through the back door of a car as it's hijacked Grand Theft Auto style by these creatures. And he runs back home all scratched up and he's like, brother, we have to stop these murder Jawas. They got Reggie and Sally and that other one.
I don't know.
Her name was Sue, but she's not even credited in the movie. So.
They were not the brightest bulbs.
No.
They definitely were not. How many times was he saying, lock the doors, don't open the door, let's go? And they just didn't, they're just sitting there like, what? Looking around and...
Huh?
It's like, no, you need to move now. We need to go. And then...
I didn't understand what you said. The script says I die next.
They didn't die. They were okay.
No.
Reggie released them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Luckily. Otherwise, they would have been little minions.
Yeah.
With their heads. The same head, but little bodies.
Stuffed full of mustard. What a way to go.
I mean, when they looked in that car and it had Tommy's face, that's when, shit really got real.
You turned Tommy into a mustard Jawa, you bastards. Yeah.
Oh. And that got poor Mike thinking about what about his parents? Like, how long have they been doing this? Did they do this to mom and dad? And they go to Morningside. Jody doesn't even look. He opens the crypt and looks in the casket and does not even really look in it. His eyes are closed.
He closes his eyes and opens it and goes, I just want to believe he's in there, and then shuts it. And then I was like, you opened it. Like, you might as well. Okay.
But Mike looks in. Again, the adult.
Yeah. And that's after Mike was left home again. At this point, it's like, if you tell him to stay behind or not go with you, it's not going to go that way. But you see how, like, absolutely upset he is, like, even with, like, Jody locking him into the room with the screwdriver and stuff. So in a very rare moment of not joke, I have now a real note. I said it was clear that Mike really does have this major fear of being left behind. Obviously, his parents' death did a number on him. Of course it would. So he has grown very attached to his older brother. And with Jody taking off and forcing him to stay back, locked in his room, it's traumatizing to him. He's forced to deal with being left behind by the one person that he has left. Yeah. And that was too serious and introspective for my notes today. So, quick, make a joke, do something. Hey, Daphne, what do you get? What do you do with a rainbow that's been really bad?
I don't know, Pake. What do you do?
You send it to Prism.
Oh.
But don't worry, it's a light sentence. Just enough time for it to reflect. Okay, we're back.
Okay. So, Mike had a very creative way of getting out of that situation.
Mm-hmm. He really did blow a hole in his brother's plan there, didn't he?
He really did. Mm-hmm. He took a hammer to it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not something I would recommend anyone ever try. No. And I know the director is grateful that no one tries it. But yeah, he uses a bullet and a hammer to blow a hole in the door so he can get out and go.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it would work that way, but I'm not going to try it out, so
no.
Who knows?
No.
Yeah, he's going to take off after his brother, but the tall man is there. He's been waiting for him. Loads him up, but then again, he still has the gun, and he shoots out the back window and shoots out the tire. Was the hearse loaded with explosives? Because holy crap.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why it exploded like that.
Yeah, I was like, well, now maybe Mr. Mustard is gone for good this time.
I don't think, no.
That one was a bit much. I'm trying too hard now to, like, after the serious note that I had, I'm overcorrecting. And, well, we'll get back on good, solid ground soon.
Yeah. You can't kill the tall man that easily.
Yeah.
He's resilient. And all he has to do is walk and have that look on his face and say, boy.
Yeah. Yeah, the second time when he comes back into the house after Mike, he's like, it's like Jody's like, lock all the windows and stuff. And I knew it was going to happen. Like, I was already saying it in my head. I was like, peekaboo. And then he opened up like the window curtains, and then tall man was on some Kendrick Lamar shit with peekaboo. Let me FaceTime my op, bitch. I'm in the street. Peekaboo. And yeah. There he was. It's like, yep, I knew it. And then that tall man was very proud of himself. Just the look on his face. Very proud of himself for moving that door with his mind and then saying, boy, without even opening his mouth at all. Very proud of himself.
Well, at this point, he chases Mike out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike leads him to the trap.
Yeah. Yeah, we skipped ahead a little bit because there was also when they find out about the Jawa's true nature, what's going on. But in both instances, so there's when he's seeing the like weird door portal thing, but then also after it's, he wasn't afraid thanks to his Bene Gesserit training.
I like to think of it as Cero, Miedo.
Mm-hmm. And then he, gets pulled right into that weird red world of the Jawas for a minute, and then he becomes fully adult stunt guy for the second time in the movie. For just a second. It's the weirdest Star Wars movie I've ever seen, I will say. Luckily Reggie and Jody grab him and pull him back. He's not going to Tatooine today. And then later, as you mentioned, being chased by the tall man, leading him to the trap, and it's like, yeah, Mike, no fear. He keeps repeating to himself, no fear, no fear. Because as we all know, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but the tall man does have his last lines that he says during this whole process. You play a good game, boy, but the game is finished. Now you die. And then Mike still...
And that was like, didn't open his mouth. I thought it was like mental, speaking it in his mind. But then I was like, was he even talking to Mike? Because maybe that's just an inner monologue, because he's the next one. Then immediately he fell down the hole.
He had a connection. Honestly, he had a connection with Mike. You know, Mike had to keep with the don't fear, and the don't fear, he had to keep, focused on it, because he walks by the woman, a.k.a. the lady in lavender is what she's called. She
looks at him, she's like, he's not scared, so I can't kill him.
Nope.
Because them's the rules.
Evidently. And she, honestly, the lady in lavender is a manifestation of the tall man. Like, it's, it's kind of like Randall Flagg in some way.
Yeah, because we get that right off the very beginning of the movie, because I was like, let that opening be a lesson to you kids. Don't be going around having premarital sex, especially in graveyards, or you will definitely get murdered by getting stabbed in the chest. And then the person that you had sex with will turn into a creepy old man. Happens all the time, and we don't teach young people that enough. And so just put that PSA out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's running from the tall man, jumps over the mine shaft, which is what Jody has determined is where they need to put him.
Yeah, I was like, an exploding hearse didn't seem to harm him at all, but... what makes you think dropping him down a mine shaft is going to do any better?
It's not.
But I guess plugging the mine shaft up with boulders was a little extra helpful. Good move.
Yeah. But then Mike wakes up.
Yeah, that was the most just like confusing. And I was like, I'm confused. I thought Reggie was dead. And now Jody's dead in just a car wreck off screen with a time jump. What's real? Is anything real? And then Reggie's like, we're going to go on a road trip, go get your stuff. And he's like, cool. And then he gets pulled through a mirror, and then I'm like, well, then that was an ending. Out of all the horror movie endings I've seen, this was one of them.
I had a feeling that you were gonna feel that way. I didn't like the ending because I didn't like that they killed Jody off screen and made it all seem like it was all a dream, like everything that had happened.
I was legitimately confused because I'm like, well, Reggie was dead, and now he's not. And it's like, did any of this happen, or did Jody die like after his parents, and then all of this was a manifestation in Mike's head, or he was dreaming, and Reggie's been taking care of him? I don't know what's real, and nothing makes sense anymore.
I don't think that most of it, according to the way it ended, it's like none of it happened, but we know that it did. Mm-hmm. And if Jody died in a car wreck, it wasn't a car wreck that was an accident. Mm-hmm. Reggie's trying to tell him, you had a bad dream. I know you're scared, but you're not alone. I'll take care of you. I know I can't take Jody's place, but I'm going to try. As you said, a road trip.
I can't take your brother's place, but I'm going to try to make you forget about him.
And Mike has that moment where he's just like, first he took mom and dad, then he took Jody, now he's after me. And Reggie is acting like he's not coming after him. Like none of this is happening.
Right, he says, you're tall, man. He's just like, oh, here he goes with this thing he made up again.
Yeah.
Which was why it was such a confusing ending to it. As much as, like, it's jokes upon jokes and, like, not taking anything seriously, I did really enjoy this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it until the ending. And then I was like, well, what was that all for? I don't know what's...
Yeah. And then Mike goes upstairs to pack and get some things, and the tall man is visible through a mirror and pulls Mike into it. So to me, it's like the whole thing with Reggie to me wasn't real either. Like, what really happened? And so I was excited when they came out with the second one because I thought, oh, we'll get some answers. Out of all the sequels that come, the characters of Reggie, Tall Man, and Mike are in all of them. They make a really dumb decision and recast Mike for the next movie. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's one thing I just can't deal with. Like,
Well, you said it took him 9 years, so
it did.
Like a 9-year time jump. Like, if he's supposed to be the same age, I guess you can't really do that.
No, he wasn't supposed to be the same age.
Okay.
And he played
Maybe
Mike.
That kid just didn't want to act anymore.
No, he played Mike in 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, he came back. Okay.
They decided that they did not want him for that movie. And I don't really know why.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, he was the only adult. Everyone else was acting like kids. He was the adult. Like, he took it seriously, understood the assignment, the threat.
Mike notes, and then I threw in a couple of other ones from other people just when they felt right, but I've got more notes. So Jody, I guess, would be the next.
Jody would be the next one.
Let's see, going back to the beginning with the funeral and stuff, which I was like, man, that is a giant, fancy mausoleum.
Yeah, not really a mausoleum. They did some real fancy stuff there. They used plywood and marble-colored plastic contact paper to get the look of that.
Looked great.
Yeah.
Really did. And of course, you know, the organ music and all the weird scritchy sounds going on while he's in there looking at all like the spots. And I was like, it's the ghost of some dead DJ fumbling around with the turntables, and they really suck at this. You think the afterlife would give them better time to practice, but no, it's bad.
Yeah. And the whole thing is, what it seems like is Tommy, Jody, and Reggie are in a band together, I think. And they were a trio, or I don't know. They were really good friends, and Tommy dies by the lady in lavender.
And then there's this other guy named Toby that's in one scene, and we don't know anything about him, but he's also there.
Again, half of the movie was cut out.
Right. But then another thing is, like, so this Toby guy shows up while they're working on the car, and Jody's talking to him about Mike, and he's like, it's like he knows I'm going to leave. And I was like, well, he's literally on the ground under the car right next to you, so yeah, because you're clearly not very subtle about it.
Yeah.
He can hear you? I don't know.
I got the feeling Toby was more concerned about Mike than Jody was. I feel like Jody thought he was just kind of a pain in the butt. And I think Mike got that vibe off him, and so that's why he was so worried he was going to run off and leave him there. Or send him somewhere. Because I think Jody was on the road as a musician. I think that's where he had been. But he had to come home and kind of look out for his brother.
Okay. That makes sense.
You know, and I get he's an adult and he's doing his own things and he wants to go out and do them again, but...
Which, as a musician, that makes sense. Yeah, because he comes back because Reggie shows up and has his guitar. It's like, Jody, how many times have I told you, you got to go play in town. You'll never make any scratch busking on your own front porch. I don't know why you're sitting there. But then we got a little bit, and I was like, well, thank you for that musical break, Jody and Reggie. Now back to our regularly scheduled movie.
I thought you'd like the musical.
It was nice. It was great. It was great. I did say thanks. I enjoyed it. But it was just kind of there, which again leads to my theory that this should be a musical. Also, Jody's a Dos Equis guy, so I can dig that.
I mean, Mike drank out of that, too. He was an adult. I'm telling you. He was an adult. He was a mechanic. He had guns he had to deal with. He had a knife.
He was driving around everywhere.
I mean, really, he was an adult. He was.
So we mentioned earlier about Jody going back to the funeral home and mausoleum and stuff without Mike for a little bit before he shows back up. Yeah, because he goes back in through the same window that Mike had broken. And he's looking around the basement. I'm like, ooh, Teeny, look behind you. He gets attacked by Jawas.
They're minions, Pig. They're not Jawas.
No, they're. Did you look at them? Did you see them? They're clearly Jawas.
But you know that they were doing these movies at the same time, so neither one knew what the other was doing.
Right, but I've seen Jawas, so I know what they are. And that's what those are. They got some Jawas from Star Wars to be in this movie. They had some extra downtime. This filming schedule just kind of worked out. There's like, oh, they were looking for some extra money, and they're like, hey, we can also roll over here and go do this.
No. But okay, if you want that to be what happened, that can live in your head.
I think that it makes sense to me. Yeah, and he takes off from there after shooting that one Jawa over and over, and I don't think it did anything still, because then it climbs into the car and chases them after them, which then, because he's so small, it looks like there's no driver, which then was weird, because it's like, you've clearly stated twice there's no driver in the car. And now you're like, I'm going to get that bastard with a gun. And it's like, make that make sense.
And that's when they notice that the guy driving the car has Tommy's face.
It wasn't a driverless murder car, or a Herstein, if you will. There was a Jawa driving it. A mustard Jawa. It was Tommy.
I don't even know what to say about the mustard Jawas.
They're mustard Jawas. That's what they are.
You are so bad. I don't even know what to say. You are just killing me. I can't, I love this movie, and I can't even possibly be frustrated with you because you're making me laugh so hard with these
because
things.
I'm right.
No, you're ridiculous.
Because I'm not wrong.
No, you're ridiculous.
Go back and rewatch it with this score, and you're like, you know what? It's a musical score. This is definitely a Broadway musical score.
It isn't. It's creepy.
Broadway musicals can be creepy. You ever seen Sweeney Todd?
Oh, man. I don't know.
We also should cover sometime. I love Sweeney Todd so much.
It's a musical.
It is.
It's a long musical.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one we're going to cover next week.
No, not next week. We got other things to do. But soon, I think we should. And then, when they go back the second time, which, again, because Jody's telling Mike, stay here, stay home, don't follow me. And then,
shoot to kill, or you don't shoot at all. Mm-hmm. That's his gun advice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great advice, honestly. That is correct. It's what I was taught when I took gun class, like courses and stuff as a kid.
You took gun safety classes?
I live in Texas. Of course I know how to safely handle a gun. You're exiled from the state if you reach a certain age and haven't. Of course, with the tall man actually bringing Mike back over there. But it's just that most like the fact that Jody's fully not surprised that Mike is there. Like there's not even like I thought I told you to stay back. He just sees him and is like, yep, of course you're here. Let's go.
Well, every time he leaves, he says, don't follow me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really, you shouldn't bother. Maybe if you don't tell him to follow, maybe if you just say, yes, come and follow me, he might stay home. I
really want you to, yeah.
Yeah, he might stay home. Again, no gratitude for saving his life earlier when the lady in lavender was going to kill him.
But he didn't know that.
True. He was too busy looking at her boobs.
Mm-hmm. Tracks. But of course, Jody showing up at the right time back at the mausoleum was good because, again, Mike was almost killed, faced with this terrible sphere that he was scared of, and it's like, Jody shows up, pull, bang, nice shot. The murder Fushigi is no more. Gone.
That one.
In a poof of red dust.
Don't think that that's the only one that ever existed.
There's more murder Fushigis?
The sphere is a very big part of Phantasm.
And Las Vegas now.
You are so proud of yourself.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You are. Oh my god. Was it around that time that Mike actually looks in the casket and finds out that his father's body's not there? He never really tells Jody that, but...
Yeah. He doesn't have the heart to let his brother know that their parents are probably mustard Jawas.
Also, Reggie shows up during this time, too.
Mm-hmm.
Letting everyone know that he's safe. He had played dead in a casket and then snuck Sally and Susie and a few other women he'd never seen out the Out the door? Out the window?
Yeah. He just kind of pops in and out throughout this movie.
He does.
You don't really know. He's dead. No, he's not. Now he's dead. No, he's not. I don't...
No, he's a big part of the...
Schrodinger's Reggie. You never know.
And then they find the room with the door and the portal and the buckets.
I do have one question. When Reggie comes back to their house and they're coming up with the plan and stuff, who the hell was the random lady that scared him? Who was that? Why is she there? I don't understand. There's some random older black lady that just scares Reggie.
I have no idea who that was.
Who the hell was that?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Jody said it's just the two of them. Who is this lady?
Know.
Where did she come from? Where did she go?
I don't know, Pake. I wish I had an answer for you.
Where did she come from? We do not know.
Where did she come from? Cotton Eye Joe?
Yes. Is that who that was? Is that?
I don't know. I don't know where.
I don't know.
I don't know. Again, a lot of things were taken out. It was cut in half.
Yes, clearly. That's one of them. That was like this entire character, and she still snuck in for one. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I have no idea who that was. I wish I could tell you it was someone. Maybe it was the tall man pretending. The tall man was cosplaying.
Okay. He was tired of hanging out with his murder Jawas. Mustard Jawas. Murder mustard Jawas. Spicy brown mustard. Because they're angry. But yes, again, so they find the room. As you're talking about now that I've completely derailed you. And we talked a little bit. It's like this portal to the alien world. And so I was like, okay, taking human corpses and crushing them down into Jawas to make them slaves on an alien planet. Definitely not where I foresaw this movie going when it started, but okay.
Yeah, that's what the tall man is up to.
Yeah. I guess he's an alien?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this thing has got this hum to it, and it has some kind of control and connection to the tall man / Lady in Lavender or whatever. And so Reggie's looking at it and he's thinking tuning forks, but then he just turns on the portal's vacuum setting. I hate when that happens.
Well, luckily he was able to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Close the door.
And then just that hum keeps slowly getting louder and louder and brighter. And I was like, oh, it's the Attack of the Extended THX intro. That's what that was. And then R.I.P. Reggie. What a terrible ending for him. Or was it? No, because then magically he's just back with no explanation.
Well, he got stabbed by the Lady in Lavender because he didn't know it was the Lady in Lavender. And she was in distress, from what he saw. Reggie and women in this franchise, his luck with women, it just doesn't always work. Yeah, he's got some bad luck, and this is a situation where he was trying to help someone.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go well.
Then he died. Except
he didn't.
He totally didn't. So, yeah, I don't know. And then the one complaint I have on the score is then at the end when Mike goes upstairs to get his stuff before the official ending. I think Mike's still down there and Reggie starts strumming away on the guitar and I was like, no, we gotta pick one. The loud score playing or Reggie playing the guitar. We can't do both at the same time because that is a cacophony of awfulness that does not work well together. Pick one. Because both... No.
Yeah, we didn't...
They did not mesh at all.
No. Wow. Do you have any other notes on Jody?
I don't.
Do you have any other notes on anything?
I finished all my Reggie notes is what those were. Do I have any more Tall Man stuff? Talk about the opening. Also, we learn kind of early on he has some kind of mental abilities or something, because when Mike is trying to flee the cemetery after seeing what happens with the casket, he throws Mike off of his dirt bike with his mind and then briefly turns him into an adult stunt rider. So, real major abilities there. When Mike sees him out on the street, he's like, man, he's acting really strange. Or maybe he just loves the smell of ice cream. But then I was like, well, ice cream really doesn't have much of a smell because the frozen aspect tamps that down. And it isn't until it melts or like that you actually get a fragrance off it. Science facts.
Oh, so you are an expert in ice cream.
Sure.
Did not know that.
See, I just have a note that says this town has a serious Jawa problem. They're everywhere. And I think that's it. That's all I got.
I didn't think the tall man was menacing when he was walking down the street. Like, when he was just walking, that wasn't a big deal. But then he stopped and looked at him and inhaled the...
You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a mustard man. No time to talk. Yeah.
Did you just come up with that now?
I did.
Oh, man. Okay, well, the notes that I have left are just general notes about the movie itself. Like, the minions were played by kids. Not a surprise. The script changed a lot, and sometimes it was only concepts and ideas, and they just did whatever. The spheres were made by this elderly metalworker named Will Green, and unfortunately he passed away before the movie was released. They cost about $1,100. They were pretty simple, like, effects because they would have a baseball pitcher throw the sphere from behind the camera. And then when they actually used it, they just ran it in reverse.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah. Like the caretaker's head, when it attached itself, they stuck it on his head and they pulled it off, and then they just used that in reverse so it would show the sticking. They had to use a lot of practical stuff. There was no CGI at that time. Everything was just, it's practical.
Good old days.
Yeah. They remastered the film in 2015.
That's the version I watched. The remastered version.
Yeah. J.J. Abrams actually had requested a screening of the movie, and there wasn't a high-quality version available.
That would explain why it opened with a bad robot logo, because I was like, they haven't been around that long, but it's the remastered thing. Got it.
Coscarelli, like, he was the, like, supervisor during the whole process, but Abrams basically offered up a tech to work with him to create the remastered version. And then the last note I have, Coscarelli's mother was a novelist, wrote a novel adaptation of Phantasm. There were only 500 copies made of the novel. Before we go, we should talk about the beautiful 1971 Plymouth Hemi Barracuda, which was nice. The car. It was beautiful. No one really knows what happened to the car because it was sold. So, it's demolished. It's in a field somewhere. No one knows. And that, Pake, is all I have to say.
Well, we got feedback phone, so... I should have changed the ringtone to it, to a great rendition of Time to Hunt a Jawa, but I'm going to go check that out. All right, we do have a little bit of feedback this week for Phantasm. And, I got two of our usual suspects writing into us this week. Always love to see that. So, Daphne, why don't you go ahead and take the first one?
Well, Alma says, OMG, probably one of the scariest movies I've ever watched. This flick has all the crazy that nightmares are made from. Okay, I thought I had seen it on the queue of one of my streaming services and was like, nope, can't watch it at night by myself, LOL. But since y'all are covering it, I'll sacrifice myself and rewatch it, hopefully with no nightmares this time. I get it, Alma, because when I watched this movie the first time, I was terrified. The tall man lived in my dreams for a long time, so I totally get it.
I remember the first time I watched this movie. I don't know if I'll say I was terrified. Did it linger in my dreams? I don't know. Visions of mustard and Jawas danced in my dreams. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. You just can't let that go, can you?
No. And it's It's funny. It's an older movie of a different time, so it's funny to hear it. Oh, it's so scary and so scary. And I was like, man, this was a gas for me. I had a blast making all the jokes, but maybe that will help with some of those terrifying memories of people's pasts. Who knows? Speaking of that, Catherine also wrote in to say Phantasm is one of my favorites. Brain-draining silver spheres, severed fingers moving in yellow blood, enslaved dwarf zombies, that iconic music, what's not to love? The ending always hits me hard. I've seen a few of the sequels, but remember almost nothing about them. And if you cover them, I'll be happy to watch along.
Well, we might. I'm not sure if I can handle any more of Peg's Phantasm jokes.
Are there more
we'll see.
mustard Jawas?
I don't know about that.
We'll see.
Well, if you'd like to submit feedback like Alma or Catherine, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast, or you could email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can always go to Run For Your Lives Podcast for all the links you'll ever need. And if you're enjoying our show, please tell your friends. We are available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts if you feel so inclined, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
We do indeed. Of course, speaking of sharing the love, gotta give some shout outs to the things going on in the Podcastica universe around us. A lot of great stuff on Podcastica, as always. Right now, the cast of us continuing on as they still getting ready. I feel like I've been saying it forever, but April's getting closer and closer, so Last of Us Season 2 is coming. But as we're getting ready for that, Walking Dead Rewatch continues this week. Season 4, Episode 11, claimed. Also, Yellow Jackets Season 3 still running. Still got a lot of stuff going on there. So Yellow Jackets WTF podcast going as well. So Episode 7 of Season 3 this week. Wendy, Penny, and Jason on that episode. Daphne's getting a little break from the Yellow Jackets for a minute, huh?
Just for a week or two. I'm going away, and I had a lot of things on my plate, so I kind of scaled back, and Jason is back to cover the rest of the episode, so it was a great time for me to take a week or two off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but coverage continues over on the podcast, so definitely if you're watching Yellow Jackets, go check that out. Also, the Wheel of Time is back. Season 3 of Wheel of Time is running now, so Greg and Veronica are covering that. They've got the first 3 episodes up there, so you can check out that as well. Again, go to podcastica.com to get the links to all of the podcasts, not just ours, but all of these great shows and different podcasts. Like Welcome to the White Lotus as well, since another Season 3 is running right now. White Lotus over on Max. So you can check out that coverage with Jenny, Randy, and Jason as well. Also, our friends Alex and Jerry covering Season 2 of the, I guess it's the Paramount Plus series of stuff, 1923, the Yellowstone universe. So Season 2 of that is running right now, and so you can go check out Jerry and Alex's coverage as well on the 1923 cast. And then the Marvel TV cast also running right now with Daredevil Born Again, running on Disney Plus, and oh my god, it's so good. So many good things. Every episode just gives me something more to be excited or devastated, or maybe both, about. And I'm loving it. I don't want to spoil things too much, but yeah, Episode 4 is out now, so you can check out just different coverage. Jim and Kirk running that over on the Marvel TV cast, and lots of great stuff. For those who know comics, I'm not going to spoil anything majorly, of course, but yeah, we've got a lot of great stuff going on in the Daredevil universe. Besides just your Kingpin, Wilson Fisk stuff, we've got White Tiger.
Yes.
We've got Muse showing up. So a lot of fun stuff.
Yes, I am caught up. I watched Episode 4 earlier today, and I'm ready for Episode 5, please.
Yes. So yeah, a lot of good stuff to check out on Podcastica, but of course, got to give some love to some other networks and other friends of ours as well. Like the Pirate Core Entertainment Podcast Network, our friend Mark running that over there. A lot of fun stuff that he does over there. Also covering Daredevil, Born Again, over on Panels to Pixels. So you can check that out. And then he's got the What's On Tonight podcast on that network. Becky and Mandy hosting that one right now, covering HBO Max's series, The Pit. So you can check out their coverage of that over on What's On Tonight on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network. And then our good friends over at TV Podcast Industries, who check out their network as well. A lot of comic book shows and things like that as well. Yeah, so Invincible has wrapped season 3. A lot of threes. I don't know what it is about season 3s this year. Yeah, Invincible has wrapped season 3, and so they've got all their coverage of that you can go check out, and also covering Daredevil Born Again on TV Podcast Industries. A lot of great coverage, a lot of great shows, so make sure to check all of them out.
Yeah, you know what's cool? Becky and Mandy are going to get to interview Justin Wade from The Pit. That's something that they're doing. So it's always cool when you get to interview someone that's part of a series that you're talking about. Yeah,
for sure.
That should be fun.
Pointing that out, yeah, there's definitely something to go check out over on their podcast. So yeah, good stuff. And then me and Daphne still having fun with Jeff and Jerry over on Buffalo, doing some crazy, fun, goofy stuff. So if you want to check us out, taking a break from TV and movies and just trying to make each other laugh or cry, who knows?
Yeah, sometimes I guess it gets a little close to that.
Playing ridiculous games.
Is it really fun?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess it's fun.
So yeah, you can also check out Buffalo for that nonsense. But yeah, after you've listened to all of that great stuff that is out there, you can come back right here next week for something new. Daphne, what do we got going on Run for Your Lives next week?
Well, when a disgraced internet personality desperately tries to reclaim his audience, he locks himself inside a haunted house and live streams the night for his viewers. What starts as a stunt quickly spirals into a terrifying fight for survival as he realizes the house's spirits are far more real than he ever expected. We are covering Joseph and Vanessa Winter's 2022 film, Deadstream.
Yeah, kind of a under-the-radar one. I didn't even really know anything about it until just kind of plucking it out, and I think we had a really, really, really fun time with that one. So
we did.
Definitely recommend checking that one out. It's on Shudder. You know, give it a watch, and let us know what you think. It's a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.